Okay, so now we're going to go through how to do this bar stool, and I'm going to go through this fairly quick, but it's a little bit confusing. It causes you to use a lot of planes, a lot of axes, but here we go. So the first thing I'm going to do is the stool, the thing you sit on, the stool top here. So I'm going to do that with just a sketch, and the diameter of that is, let's see, what is the diameter? 15. So the diameter of that is 15. Set that at 15. And then extrude that upward. And the height of the stool or that seat area is 1.25. Okay. Now, as you see here, the legs actually come out. The center of the leg is, they lie on a diameter of 12 here. So we need to bring out a plane that's 6 out from the middle. So I'm going to, because 6 is half of 12. So we're going to bring a plane out that is 6. And our first leg, center of our leg, is going to lay right there. All right. And the length of the leg is 30. So from the bottom of the seat. So if you see that in the drawing there. So I'm going to create a plane that is 30 down from the bottom of the seat. Okay. All right. It would be pretty easy if the legs were straight down, but the legs are actually flared out by about by 10 degrees. So we need to rotate a plane to be able to do this. So the first thing I'm going to do is create an axis. And this axis is going to be at the intersection of this plane. So I'm going to select this plane and then control click the bottom surface. So then we have an axis. And that allows us to rotate a plane 10 degrees to flare out the legs. So with that selected, I'm going to create a new plane. And I'm going to control click the bottom surface and set that equal to 10 degrees here because the way it's measured, the way it's shown in the drawing is 80 degrees, but the way we're measuring it, it should be 90 minus 80, which ends up being 10 degrees. So it's flared out 10 degrees. And that's where we're going to sketch. So with that flared out there, we're going to sketch. And this circle should lie right on the intersection of that axis and the center line here. So right here, and the diameter of that is 1.5. Okay, now we're going to extrude that. And how far are we going to extrude it? Well, we've already made the bottom of where the legs are going to end right here at 30. So what we're going to do is to selected. And we're going to select this there. So it's going to extrude until it hits this plane and then it's going to stop. And that's what we want. Up here, we have a little bit of a gap. See that little gap in there? We want to get rid of that. So on option side 2, we're going to go to next. And that should get rid of that right there. Yeah. So it eliminates that. It extrudes up until it hits the next surface. So we got one leg down. 1/3 of the way done with the legs. Now, where's the next leg going to go? Well, it's going to go 120 degrees away from this leg. So it's going to be over here somewhere. So how do I create a leg over there? So I'm going to select this center axis here. It's a center axis. And I'm going to create a new plane. And I'm going to control click the center of this leg here. I'm going to click this. And it should be 120 degrees away from that one. Okay. Let's do a negative 120 because I think that's where we want it. Yeah, right here. So right up here. Create a leg right up here. We're going to say okay. And now with that plane selected, we're going to create an axis. And the axis is going to be normal to that. So that's what this says up here. That means it goes right through. It's 90 degrees. And these two little red arrows mean we need to select how to measure it. So the first one we can drag to the bottom surface. And the second one we can drag to the middle axis. So let me set this to 0 because we want it right on the bottom there. And let's drag this. Oh, change my other one too. But this one we want to the center axis there. So the first one, we set that to 0 because we want it right on the bottom surface there. And then this one is the center of the leg. So that's 12 divided by 2. We want 6 there. So that's where our next leg is going to go. So let's, with that axis selected, we can create a new plane. And we'll control click that bottom surface. And that should be 10 degrees. Negative 10 degrees. So it flares outward. Yeah. So if we sketch on that, we should be able to bring a leg out here. So sketch. And we will need another reference here. We will need this as well as our axis here because our center of our leg is going to go right there. So I'll put a circle. 1.5, and we'll extrude that, and side 1, remember, is 2 selected, and we'll go to this bottom surface there, and side 2 will be to next to get rid of that little gap that occurs right there. Say okay. So 2 legs done. Now the last leg, we're going to follow the same procedure. We're going to select that middle axis and go plane. And this time we're going to control click this second leg that we just made. And we want 120 degrees. Well, negative 120 degrees. And our next leg is going to be right over here on this side, right through the center of that. Say okay. And now we go create a new axis. It's going to be normal to that plane. And then remember dragging these offset references here. One goes to the bottom surface, and then one goes to the center axis there. And the first one should be 0, and the second one should be 6. So we have another axis there that we can create a plane, control click the bottom surface, and that should be 10 degrees, negative 10, yeah, negative 10. There we go. And so our next leg, we're just going to sketch. We need a reference. It goes there. And the circle is a diameter of 1.5. And we're going to extrude that. Side 1 goes to selected, this base. And side 2 to next. Okay. So we're about there. We have the 3 legs. I'm going to turn off these planes here. The next thing we need to do is create the spindles at the bottom. So there are spindles connected, connect all these legs. And those are located 18 inches from the bottom surface here. So I'm going to turn the planes back on. And here we go. So I'm going to select this bottom surface, create a new plane. And those are going to be 18 down from there. So all of our spindles are going to lie on this plane. And really, to create the spindles, we need to know the intersection of this plane and these axes here. So I'm going to create 3 points using the datum points. So the first point is at the intersection of this plane, and I'm going to hold down Control and select this axis. So it's created a point at the intersection of the axis and the plane. I'm going to create a new point, and I'm going to select the plane, control click this axis now, and one more new point, and I'm going to select the plane and control click this axis. So we have 3 points here, and we'll use those as a reference to create our spindles. So to create our spindles, I'm going to sketch on this plane, go to sketch view, and we'll create a center line that goes right through these points that we just made. And then we'll use a slanted rectangle and select this point, and the spindle radius, if the diameter is 1, this radius should be 0.5. Select OK, and then we're going to revolve this. So there we have a spindle. Doing the same procedure, select this, sketch. We're going to create a center line between these 2 points, this point and this point, and use a slanted rectangle. This dimension's 0.5. OK. Revolve. There's spindle 2. And one last one. We're going to sketch on that same plane again. Center line from this point to this point. Slanted rectangle. Select that point, and let's dimension that. That's 0.5. And then all we need to do is revolve that last one, and we have the spindles done. So we got the 3 legs done, and we have the spindles done. There's one last thing that we need to do, is we need to round the bottoms here of the legs. And it says that the rounds are a radius of 0.75. So I'm going to select the round tool and set that to 0.75, and just hold down control and select the bottom edges of each of these legs. And then OK. And then there we have the stool. 3 legs, 3 spindles, and then the rounds at the bottom here, with each of the legs 120 degrees apart.